Well, Black and White Network, we're only like a few months away from the DNC, and the Democrats will be nominating Beijing Biden to be on the Democratic ticket. Now, a lot of people are really not hyped up about Joe Biden. I mean, Democrat voters, man, I put up a video the other day, and the majority of Democrat voters were actually going to vote for him simply because they oppose Trump. It was only something like 30% are actually going to vote Biden because they actually like him. This man has no base, man. The Democrats are in major trouble. Now, if you actually look at the Democrat bench, it's weak. They really don't have anybody, to tell you the truth. Let's think about this, guys. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is Joe Biden's number 2. She's way younger than Joe Biden. Joe Biden, man, can't function. Nobody's hyped up for him. And really, guys, Kamala Harris technically should be the number 2. The Democrats really should be pushing her, right? But the thing is, she's really not that popular, guys. I mean, when it comes to the support for her or Joe Biden, there really is no difference, guys. Actually, for the longest time, she was actually more unpopular than Biden. And I'm talking about among Democrats, man. The word on the street is that the Democrats really want Joe Biden to dump her. But remember, she's a DEI hire. Yeah. The only reason why she got the job is simply because she's a POC, a so-called person of color. Now, Joe Biden said he was going to do that. But the Democrats, man, they really don't like Kamala Harris. Remember, she bowed out early in the Democrat primary in 2020. Nobody wanted to support her, including black people. But Joe Biden decided to use her as a token in 2020. So here we are right now, guys. Nobody wants to support Joe Biden. But Kamala Harris is no better. And now we got the data, guys, that's confirming that from Politico, a left-wing site, guys. It's bad news for Kamala Harris, man, if she actually has to become the Democrats' nominee. She will get blown out by Donald Trump. Let's get into it, guys. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel, become a channel member. Remember, live stream every single Friday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you're watching on Rumble, click the join button to get access to the same thing. So, here we go, guys. New poll goes deep on Kamala Harris's liabilities and strengths as a potential president. Now, newsflash. It does say here, Harris does perform better than Joe Biden among black people. But however, the black support for her is actually looking pretty bad. It's looking bad, guys. Let's just be real. Donald Trump doing pretty well for a Republican, actually exceptionally well for a Republican in the polls. We're talking about like 20, 25% support. It ain't looking good for Kamala Harris, man. It says here, with voter concern about Beijing Biden's age haunting his chances of re-election, a new poll shows his next in line, Kamala Harris, facing serious doubts about her ability to win the presidency herself or to perform the job well were she to inherit it. Yeah. I believe, guys, if Joe Biden actually gets in for another 4 years, he will not finish out that term. He won't do it. She'll be next. And there's little to no faith in Kamala Harris. Now, winning an outright election, no, she can't do it. The Politico Morning Consult poll reveals that only a third of voters think it's likely Harris will win an election were she to become the Democratic nominee. And just 3 of 5 Democrats, that's not good, believes she would prevail. A quarter of independents think she would win. And you got to get that independent vote, man, to win. Only 25% of independents believe she could do it. And the Democrats, only 3 out of 5. Yeah. Yeah. That skepticism extends to her potential future role as the head of her party. 42% of voters describe her as a strong leader, including 3/4 of Democrats, but only a third of independents. So even in the Democrat Party, I mean, you're talking about only 75% of Democrats. That's not very high, for people in our own party. Only a third of Democrats, though. The poll shows that Harris shares the same poor ratings as Biden. Both are well underwater. Biden at 43% favorable and 54% unfavorable. Harris at 42% favorable and 52% unfavorable. And here it is right here, guys. So the dark blue is Beijing Biden right there. 43 and 54% favorable, unfavorable. Kamala Harris right next to him. Not that much better. Not that much better, guys. So actually, Biden's favorability is, just 1 point ahead of her. But when it comes to unfavorability, more people find Beijing Biden to be more unfavorable, but it's close, only 3 points. Wow. Harris's efforts to reboot after a rocky start appear to have paid some dividends with important Democratic constituencies in ways that might move the needle in a close election. She outperformed Biden among black voters. That's not a surprise, though, because these black voters, they're looking at her as simply as she's quote unquote black, but she's really not. She's Indian. They're looking at skin color, nothing more. A shift from when the two competed for the Democratic nomination 4 years ago. And among Democrats, she has extended a lead over potential rivals in a hypothetical 2028 matchup. Harris also polled well on some key issues such as abortion, while lagging on other issues such as immigration. Yeah, she's a progressive, man. Kamala Harris is a true progressive, man. I mean, Joe Biden, throughout his whole career, he was never a progressive. But now, since the Democrat Party is really a party of progressives, he shifted further to the left. Overall, the findings suggest that Harris is unlikely to quell anxiety among voters about what would happen if Biden became unable to serve. Attitudes about Harris could play a more pronounced role in the campaign, with a typical vice president as voters assess handing another 4-year term to the 81-year-old occupier of the Oval Office. Wow. Look at this here. Quote, she's done an admirable job on reproductive health and issues important to the black community and related to youth. What? What has she done? What has she done? That's what I'm curious about. You hear this stuff, like, what has she actually done? Nothing. But anyway, it goes on and says, but at the same time, she's fallen into the same spot that many VPs fall into, which is that she doesn't have a very public role outside of her lane. Well, Joe Biden actually put her in charge of the border, and look at it. A complete failure. People don't associate her with issues like foreign policy, which is so important these days. She isn't being credited with the larger international and domestic work. Now, she did come out the other day, and she was actually talking about the hostages that were actually freed from the hands of Hamas. And she was talking, because there was actually people that got killed, Gazans that got killed. But the thing is, those people were actually holding the hostages. And Kamala Harris is more concerned about them than the actual hostages that were freed. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable, man. Not looking good here. Now, look here. This poll right here says most registered voters do not think Harris will win a presidential election. This question is, in your opinion, how likely is it that Kamala Harris will win an election for president if she were the Democratic nominee? Overall, 34% said likely, 57% said unlikely. Now, among Democrats, her party, only 59% said she would actually win an election. They really don't believe she can actually beat Trump. 31% said unlikely. And of course, Republicans, 81% said unlikely, 13% said likely. Independents, which is really the key here, 62% said it's unlikely that she would actually win the election. Harris scored in the high 70s with Democrats on both questions, but it is in the mid-30s with the independents. Both of those are bad, man. When you're only in the 70s with Democrats, actually not even that. The Democrats right here said 59% likely that she would actually win. Wow. This is astonishing right here. Nearly 3/4 of Democrats think Harris would make a good president. That's low right there. Only 74% of Democrats believe that. Wow. And with black people, man, her support among black people is not really that high. Now, Breitbart did have an article here. I was hoping that I can actually find it right here. But on Breitbart's article, when it came to black people, it was pretty low, man. It was like 60. I'm going to just go over here to Breitbart and find it real quick, because I saw that because they had actually, this is where I initially saw this article right here. And I'm going to find it real quick because I want to make sure I get this number correct right here, because it's actually pretty bad. So down here, it's just easier to find it right here. Right here. Politico attempts to spin the following into a positive. 67% of black voters view her favorably, compared to 23% who do not. This is among black people. That is bad right there. And they even say here, anyone who knows anything about history and politics knows those numbers among black voters should be closer to 90-10. But the thing is, black people are moving towards Trump. That's the reason why I'm in. Kamala Harris would be an unmitigated disaster. If she becomes the nominee, man, if something happens to Biden, let's say, and I'm not wishing this, let's say that Joe Biden dies next week or something. Who's going to be the nominee? Is it going to be Kamala Harris? Let's say if it is. She's going to get blown out, in my opinion. But that's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Black and White Network fans, let us know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we will catch you next time.